ShortMeTina here once again from ShortMeTina.com with my nightly swing trading stock market recap. For those of you who are new to our channel, I want to say welcome and thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are very much so familiar with my channel and you guys tune in almost every day or every single day, I want to say thank you again and welcome back. Truly from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the support. Extremely grateful, extremely thankful. So as usual, we're going to kick it off with a recap of the overall markets, but a couple of things that we've done differently starting yesterday. Generally speaking, again, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, I started analyzing the overall markets at the beginning of my videos when the market experienced this decline back around we can say mid-October. Since then, we typically analyze the S&P 500 and the small cap index via the IWM. Yesterday, we kind of changed gears a little bit and we started analyzing the QQQ and the Dow Jones. Today, we're going to continue with that, and I'll probably keep it that way for the remainder of the week just to mix things up a little bit. So we had a huge day today, complete rally. We are in rally mode, up about 1.5% on the day. So for me, that's huge for an index. Close today at 170.89. Again, if you've been listening, I want that pullback. I really do want that pullback in consolidation to that short-term support. And again, for the QQQ, we can call that 160 to 165 area before we retest resistance of around, let's say, 170. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I'm not sure, but going forward, what I will be paying attention to would be this high here of 173.31. Let's not make any assumptions. Let's see how investors react once the stock, or rather the ETF, gets to 173.31. Ideally, again, I'd like for it to touch resistance and pull back to that short-term support of 160. I think if we can do that, consolidate around here a bit more, then we can continue on this next leg of the bull market. That is my ideal scenario. Full disclosure, we are long parts of the market. What else do we have? All right, the Dow, DIA. Similar story with the Dow. We rallied, I want to say over 15% since hitting a December low of around, what was December's low? Let's say 217.88, around 217. So since hitting this low here, we've rallied again up huge on the day, about north of 1.5%, close to 254.53, and we are really hitting resistance here of around 255. I do not like these V-shaped rallies. You guys should know that by now. I don't think that they're very sustainable. We're running into resistance, so I wouldn't be surprised, or don't be surprised, if the ETF pulls back to support. Now, I don't necessarily think we need to pull all the way back here to around 233 or revisit December lows. I don't think that that's necessary, but we, at least in my opinion, we should pull back to shorter term support of around, let's call it that 245 area, consolidate around there, and then continue up. If we continue up without any sort of real pause, more than likely the rally will not be sustained, and when it does correct or when it does fall back, it's going to be sharp and swift and painful. We don't want that. We want it to trend up nicely. For me, for it to do that, it has to digest like this massive 15 to 20% move that we've seen in, I don't know, what is it? It's not many trading days. So that's what I want to see going forward with the Dow. What else do we have? ACB up about 7% on the day. Very surprised. I thought today we were going to actually correct a little bit more, but it so happens that we ended up being up on the day, probably largely in part because the entire market also experienced sort of like a huge bump. So for ACB, although we're up about 7% on the day, not 100% convinced that this sell-off that we experienced the past few days is over. So for the remainder of the week, again, I would exercise caution here. I would not jump in here at 717. I'm expecting a pullback, but that pullback would not invalidate the chart. I am still bullish in the intermediate and longer term on ACB and other stocks in the marijuana sector. What else do we have? All right, ticker SHMP daily chart. I didn't even look at this stock today, and it's off about 30 37% on the day. Yesterday we were up 37%. Today we're down 37%. Now go back to the video that I did yesterday, and I spoke about a couple of things. I think one, I said, well, it looks like it has that parabolic feel to it, right? And I said a sustained break above yesterday's high of 93, and the stock can run. Now we definitely pierced through 93, went as high as around 94, but we didn't sustain that move, and the stock fell by 37%. And also too, again, if you listen to that video, I also indicated the one that I did yesterday, so it's up in there for you to see. I also indicated you have to be very cautious, right? You have to exercise caution with these types of stocks, like these penny stocks, hence why I don't really dabble in them unless things are really in my favor from a risk-reward perspective, because they tend to sell off just as quickly. So imagine, placing a hefty bet, which a lot of new traders tend to do, right? Imagine placing a hefty bet on this particular security only to see your account down by 37% in one day. That's a huge sell-off, right? Hence why I said it's super important that you understand what you're doing when you trade these types of securities. So we're down about 37%. And again, I said also expect volatility. So I wouldn't be surprised if this stock is up tomorrow in a huge way. Again, this is where the volatility kicks in. But it still remains for me. If it can penetrate like that 93, 94 high, I think there's a possibility that this stock can actually run. What else do we have? All right, Snapchat, ticker SNAP, daily chart. So we're off about 2% on the day. The low of today was 877. We closed at 880. I'm expecting a washout tomorrow. Ideally, so again, I am bullish on Snapchat. I am long Snapchat, and that's not why I'm bullish. I'm just bullish because, I'm bullish for tons of reasons, and it's interesting that a lot of folks have emailed me specifically and asked, hey, why are you bullish on Snapchat? Look, it is me. You can trade your own account. I trade my own account. I've been doing this for, over 15 years, north of 2 decades. Sometimes things just kind of give you that feel. At any rate, there's a gap here to be filled at around 705. I wouldn't be surprised if Snapchat fills that gap within the upcoming weeks. The key here, super important, right? The key here, despite my bullishness, despite my bullish sentiment, the key is it has to follow certain technical rules, right? It has to maintain or trade above a particular area. And for me, that area would be this resistance level here, which we can now call support. So now if we pull back to that $7 area, consolidate around there, stay around there, that's fine. If we dip back, right, if we kind of like the sell-off continues and we break below 7 and we can't seem to get back above, then that signals trouble for me. So sitting here off at 2%, closing at 880 with a low of 877, I'm expecting more selling into the remainder of the week, and that's okay. You want this to happen when a stock gaps up. Remember, it's up around 20 or 25% since it reported earnings. It is good for it to come back and to correct. That's what I'm looking for. What else do we have? All right, BPMX daily chart dating back to, let's say, dates back to 2017, but let's focus in on price action towards the ending of 2017. I did a chart analysis on BPMX yesterday. Granted, we're up about 1% on the day, but there's a couple of things that I noticed that says to me that this isn't necessarily exhibiting like bullish price action or even bullish price behavior, for lack of a better way of framing it. So if you look at volume, you'll realize that volume is completely absent from BPMX, and that's one of the things that you kind of need for there to be, let's say, a reversal in trend. You need volume pouring in, right? And also, too, granted, we're up about 1% on the day, but we still are trading, we're still experiencing a decline dating back to 2018, and you can visibly see it. And what's a decline? It's characterized by lower highs, 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 lower highs. So what you want to see for the trend to now be counter and acting bullish, you want to see higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, so on and so forth. We have not seen that as of yet in BPMX, and so when I did the video saying that I am bearish, it wasn't because I necessarily wanted to do it. That's just what I see in the charts, right? And sitting here at 10 cents, if we break, and that's long-term support going back to 2017, if we break that, I think we might revisit December lows of around 5 cents. So again, there's a possibility we're going to break this long-term support of 10 cents, not to sound repetitive, and retest December lows of 5 cents. So right now, again, not bullish on ticker BPMX. What else do we have? All right, and then we have SGYP daily chart. So really quickly, closed at 28 cents, off about 1.5% on the day. I'm speeding it up because the videos are a bit long right now. So for the past few days, we've tried to penetrate resistance. We can call that level around 30 or 32 cents. We are having a hard time doing it. Volume is gone. The simple fact that volume is gone, I feel like the folks who needed to unload already unloaded around here, and as it drifts away, I'm expecting a huge correction at some point. What else do we have? Ticker NBEV daily chart. So it's also pulling away, similar to SGYP, also pulling away from its resistance level. However, the setup, this chart setup is a lot more bullish than it is in SGYP. That's one thing. But two, like I've stated before, volume is also absent from ticker NBEV. So while the setup is relatively bullish, volume needs to pour in. If volume can't pour in, then I wouldn't even take the chance in taking a long position here. What else do we have? All right, ticker WFT, and we're gonna cap it here. We're gonna round it out here really quickly, off about a little north of 2% on the day, but a couple of positive things that WFT has going for it. One is trading above short-term resistance of around 60 cents, and we've managed, well, two, we penetrated that area on volume, and we've managed to stay above that resistance level for a few days, and we're trading sideways, you can say, for the past 5 or 6 trading days. All of these things bode well for anyone that is long. Not necessarily saying to jump in here. That's a video. That's a story for another video. But it's acting relatively bullish again, as long as it can stay above that 60 cents level. So that's it. I'm going to cap it there. ShortMeTina from ShortMeTina.com. Now I have 3 things. If you enjoyed any part of this video, can you do a couple of things for me or us here at the community? If you liked the video, whether or not you agree, disagree, doesn't matter. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely engage. Comment, let me know if you're long any of these stocks, if you're thinking of getting into any of them, if you disagree with my analysis, if you agree with my analysis. The point is just engage in the comments section. Folks generally shoot me emails asking questions about my videos. I think it's best if you ask your question in the YouTube comment box. You can always email me, but that way, like, you're posing the question to a larger audience. Some other folks might be thinking the same thing. So if you ask and I answer, I can potentially be answering it for hundreds of folks that are currently watching these videos. The second thing is head on over to our YouTube channel at ShortMeTina and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. I do videos Monday through Friday. If you turn on notifications, it ensures that you do not miss any video, and again, any videos, and again, I do them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and lastly, head on over to ShortMeTina.com, sign up, become a member. Thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for the support.
Dig, if you will, the picture of you and I engaged in a kiss. The sweat of your body covers me.